Get it's live. Okay, I just need to get a mic and can you put a chair here? Try to get a chair. Just need to. This here. So, let's see how today goes, inshallah.
The internet side. The internet seems to be dying.
It just seems you don't.
Yeah, whatever this is, my friend.
Is it his internet or is it my internet?
No, it's good, man. Actually.
Yeah, actually it's true.
Check about one of the Wi-Fi thing.
Yeah, that's the key thing.
Which Wi-Fi you got on?
I guessed.
It's fine. It'll be slow. Just
Alright, so when you're ready.
Alright, yeah, it's right.
Okay, we're rolling to this one. Navigate this.
Ya Allah. Yeah, should we start?
Build the sequence. Let's look at one.
We're gonna have our silence.
It's going to go and look at myself in the comments. Anyway,
There's still one leg in it as well.
yeah, so I'm gonna see myself 10 seconds back. Okay. Anyway, let's.
Yeah, so what's that?
Okay, so Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So, I'm very tired today, yeah. I don't have the energy.
Sounds like you're ready to start dreaming.
I know, exactly. I look so hard.
That's probably like it's probably like the, the American commercial where they put in the advert anyway.
Let's see, look at
It's like if you ever watched UFC, everything is like so and so replay brought to you by so and so company, and then 2 seconds later the result is brought to you by so and so company.
that. This someone anyways.
It's so commercial.
So what's the week been like? Or what's the 2 weeks been like?
2 weeks.
I mean the viewers don't know obviously how long we've been away.
Well, waiting
the live
monthly or 6 months?
It depends how long you're gonna be putting up, how often.
The live stream knows it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, live stream, okay. Live stream guys, okay. Yeah, if they got any comments,
No, no,
let's let us know.
there's no one on.
Okay,
See,
so
11 watching.
yes, 11 people watching, alhamdulillah.
So,
Right,
yeah.
so come on. So what have you been up to?
So much just going to work, coming home, chilling.
School
Yeah.
going good.
Sorry?
School going good.
Yeah, it's alright.
Have you started implementing our tactics for school? Force them to a career rather
No,
than.
your tactic that I disagree with.
But we all have been.
We never
that
came to
was
the
yours,
agreement.
isn't it? Whose idea was that?
That's a recent idea.
But did you see that the thing I sent on the WhatsApp group?
Oh, that's why you sent it.
After one,
Yeah, look at that. It's interesting, isn't it?
and someone came along and abolished that. And
Well, that's interesting how they kind of look at how a child, needs to focus on his strong points, and you push push towards that direction. Maybe that's one of the reasons why a lot of people feel discouraged from, going through school, academia.
Yeah, I don't think it's for everyone. But
Once I thought to myself, imagine if everyone was to become a doctor. What kind of a doctor would you become? Would you become a really good doctor? Imagine everyone was to become like a politician. What kind of politician? Obviously, everyone's got their own skills, haven't they? So some people have got really good skills. Some people are going to be very interested in a certain field, but because they haven't really had the opportunity to go into that field, they'll never know how good they would have been. So, like multiple realities. Maybe we should have one of those anyway.
But we can dream.
Okay, so you say
that comment brought to you by.
So only you're left now to.
That's a dream.
Like, what would you have liked to have tried your hand at?
It's difficult to say because I don't know. Maybe becoming a doctor, maybe becoming an architect. I want to become an architect. Well, I want to become an archaeologist first.
Indiana Jones says.
Yeah, it's one of that. It's like interesting. You find stuff and you got to puzzle pieces together, travel to places, hands-on.
I think the reality is different. Sometimes you see, like Indiana Jones does everything himself.
Yeah.
Like, you'd probably just be like.
I don't think that's accurate.
No, but what I mean is, like, even in certain fields, you think, oh look, they do this, but really it's like a whole team working towards a big thing, but only one person's at the forefront. I would like to. We'll be watching some documentaries about.
What's your dream job?
Dream job.
Yeah, we're in there.
Dream job would be.
Maybe when it's being edited, maybe we can have the score.
The count of
how many times it's been said.
Yeah. But recently, I've always thought I would like to have been a lawyer. The way they.
Are you in some trouble?
I didn't watch some documentaries.
You were breaking the law again.
Yeah. Well, I guess today I was with a guy and he got pulled over on the motorway. He was going over 100. Yeah, so he might get banned. I was thinking of that. I won't even knew the law.
But we do know the law.
No, as in, I wonder if we knew the law. As in,
he was breaking the law because he got caught.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he was up until that point. He was fine.
Yeah. So, okay. So, what was your dream job? Lawyer, yeah.
No, my dream job would be football. I think.
Football,
and good money and
just play football.
Yeah, just playing.
Yeah, it's true. Good money. Like the kind of ideal thing that an average person would probably want in their life.
Yeah.
Money. You got something that you enjoy, football. Average kind of guy would like that, and fame. Yeah. What about you? Or something?
I don't know. If I could just get paid to just do nothing, that'd be ideal.
Oh, you must have some passion. What's your passion? Have you never tried your passion?
Sorry?
Or have you never kind of explored your passion?
I think any sport, being a professional sportsman would have been like quality because you get to participate in sport, train in sport, and then that's your day job. Like, I don't think you can compare with that. Because people have their hobbies, they do extracurricular, but imagine, but then to a degree, so a lot of people say, you don't want your hobby to ever become your job, do you? Because then you're forced to do it, you can build together, put in a grinding shift, getting better.
Yeah, when you look at your bank account. I don't think Ronaldo's complaining.
Create a passion for yourself.
I think astronaut would have been quality.
Astronaut, yeah, that's good, isn't it? Yeah, I think so.
You know, with astronauts, do they all go into space?
See, that's the other thing I was thinking. You know what? That's the exact thing that I was thinking.
Yeah, but I mean an
Okay, let's
astronaut.
look at
Not a wannabe astronaut who only does a few
Let's say
drops.
there's a 40 astronaut average life of.
If we're talking about dream job, I'm not going to do this nearly astronaut guy.
We've got to think about it. Come on, we've got to realistically. 40-year average career astronaut, yeah?
Yeah.
In that 40 years, how many times is he going to be in space?
But still, to be able to have done it.
Maybe like for a week, 2 weeks, 6 months. And that's it then.
Couple of month shifts, I reckon. The scientists in the International Space Station, they do a few shifts. So, yeah, that would do it. Just flying around.
Mars. Oh, maybe they go Mars. You can do like a long mission.
Oh, forget that. Too long. Or short bursts.
So what's the topic today?
Dreams.
Okay, so
mention a memorable dream you've had, then Mufti sir.
Me? Okay, let me think.
Or is it what you should be mentioning?
Aha! Okay, what kind of dream have I had? I had loads of dreams. I had dreams. I remember, usually, this is something strange. If I'm going to have a talk in a place I've never had a talk before, I usually see a dream a few days before. As in, not that.
It's like you panicking.
I never planned it, and all of a sudden I saw the dream, and then, it says I was supposed to do a talk, but then maybe it's my mind, I don't know, it just kind of like imagines how it's going to be. But it's just like the strange, because the dream kind of works out, and there's a lot of like correlation between the dream and between how it works out. So I have a talk, and I went to a mosque, and there was like lots of people sitting there. And
I think that's just generic stuff, isn't it?
yeah, it's strange. But it's like first I was like a new mosque I saw in my dream, and I saw the people who were running the mosque. I saw some of them, and I gave a talk. Lots of people were gathered.
Could that be because you've probably been prepping for the bayan?
Could be. It could, but it's just something which I generally regularly would see. That's one thing. So I see that. I think also I saw my teacher in my dream. When I study, I see my teacher in my dream. Teachers in my dream a lot. Maybe it's because obviously studying and all that. But then sometimes I'll see a very strange dream, and I'll tell my teacher, and the teacher will interpret it. Okay, it means this.
It means you need to do your Gurdans again. Oh.
Yeah, that's it. I haven't been learning properly, so I've got to repeat again.
I'm not much of a dreamer. I very rarely have dreams.
Okay.
But what I did find though,
Sounds disappointing.
I just get on with life.
The interesting thing is, I did a course on a few years ago on dreams, and I was reading a whole lot about it then. So it was like a very common thing for, like doctors say, that people see lots of dreams. I don't know if anyone's watching. Maybe they can comment in as well. Yeah, and just tell us dreams that they've seen. Not to interpret it. We're not interpreting any dreams, but they can maybe give us some idea of the stats and figures of how frequent dreams are. So they say regularly, every person sees a dream when they go to sleep. The problem is recalling the dream. Yeah, and then recording it accurately, that's another issue.
So what they say, if you want to record it, just have a notepad next to your bed. The second you wake up, just jot it down, because it's fleeting, isn't it? You wake up and it starts drifting away, or like sometimes I wake up, I might still remember part of the dream, I think about it, and then halfway through the day I realize, oh yeah, there's a bit more to it.
Yeah.
Like you get more detail coming back. But the worst thing
is that accurate? Is that like accurate part of it, or is it because it's being mixed up with other memories now, and you're starting to like formulate your own?
The dreams I'm talking about, I think they're not real.
No, so you
thoughts.
You see a dream, and then later on in the day you remember something, but you kind of manipulate that dream.
That could be. But on occasion you're kicking yourself and you're like, what was that thing that happened just before that? Something happened, how did I appear there? But because there's no actual link between one part of a dream and another, they just randomly just disappear and appear again in different spots. It's hard to get that connection once I've woken up, I find. So I need something to just jolt it back into my memory. And sometimes something reminds me, other times it just disappears on me.
Yeah, I think that happens to me as well. I think a lot of people happens to.
Yeah. We've got Brother Irfan Qureshi saying he dreamt about doing some Arabic work in Arabic.
Tell him he's just had his exam. Yeah. Have some rest. Have some rest, please. Yeah. Have some rest, bro.
But I mean, see that when you mentioned that everyone has dreams but you can't recall them.
Yeah.
I'm almost, how do they know this? Like, I
think they test it through brain patterns. They do survey on people, test on people, and they find that they go into a certain deep sleep.
Then they say, in REM, you what do you call it, have the most dreams. So
yeah, but the thing is, if they see that in someone, that may just be the pulses of the brain.
Okay,
but the other thing is, we don't know exactly what they base it on. We can't just guess what they're basing it on and diss that our assumption of it.
See,
we need to know actually what they're basing it on before you have a go to
let Hazrat speak.
I think
let Reach have his rant.
I think some of these people just they just need something to keep them occupied. So
and get paid for.
Yeah, so they make stuff up. It's like they've been doing 5 years of research and then they go to the minute. Why we got to show for it and then just make it up.
Maybe there could be some truth to that. There could not be truth to that. Who knows?
I mean, he's got no basis for that. We know that at least.
So I mean, but the dream. I mean, the dream kind of thing. It seems to be something which is commonly shared between all humans. Yeah, all humans, in the past, now, all seem to have this connection with regards to dreams. They all agree. It's like an ijma, you can say. And dreams are something that people experience, and it's strange because it's like, maybe people might say, oh, it's an evolutionary sort of like kind of thing that humans have developed over the years to combat sort of, other things. Whatever it is, whatever the answer for it is whether a person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, put that inside a person's mind for a certain reason, or whatever the reason is, we don't know. But it is something which is a reality now, dreams. And it's become so much so that now it's like, if you think about it, a person can, is the dream reality and this the dream? Like those films that
have you seen Inception?
Yeah, Inception, like Inception, or I don't know what else is there. It's like a person can live their whole life in a dream, and sometimes this is what happens. You're asleep only for a small fraction of time, but it's like time just
There's this one episode of Star Trek which I thought was quality. I don't know, did you ever used to watch it?
Yeah, it's
Next Generation. There's one episode where like Picard wakes up and he's in this planet and like obviously an alien race and they're just living a rudimentary life, and he's like, where's my spaceship? Obviously because he thinks he was a captain, and they're like, no, you just fainted. Like he's got a different name and he's got a family, and for years he was like, I was from a ship, but he lived the entire life, he had raised kids and everything, and he even built telescopes looking out for the Enterprise, thinking, where is it? And after 70 years living there, he woke up on the bridge, and he's just looking around, thinking, what's happened? Everyone's like, he fainted for about 5 minutes, but he lived the entire life after about 70, 80 years, and he still had the fruit from it. I thought that was a good episode.
What language was he speaking? Because Frank Qureshi is saying your mother tongue is a language in which you dream.
Okay, he's a doctor, Sam. He's a doctor, yeah. So ask him. Okay, Dr. tell us about dreams. Tell us what the medical society says about dreams. Because
as far as language, a lot of times I'm not hearing a language. It's just understood, the interactions and stuff is just panning out. It's more visual for myself, and occasionally it is language, but it's just flows. Like it's not with just one.
The thing is, let's say there's someone, let's say a child, a baby, who has another language yet. They dream, yeah? So sometimes you see a child smiling, they just sleep.
Yeah, I'm going to be a skeptical person and say,
okay, what language are they dreaming in?
It doesn't have to be a language.
Exactly. I think it's not a language. I think what might be like a multiple layered thing, where if you know a language, then obviously that can be added to the dream as well. And if you don't know a language, maybe you can dream in a different language, you made up. Just like you can make up the whole scenario of
but your understanding is only in the language that you can speak. So like you're saying, it's not necessarily language, it's just understanding that's come to you. How you interpret it.
So you're saying that you specifically need a language for this, for dream.
No, I'm not saying you need a specific language. What I'm saying is, it's like, how you imagine a chip being put in your head and just the information just download into your mind.
Yeah.
But because you only speak that language, you interpret to be in that language.
You don't need speech to understand stuff. Like when you just see stuff pan out.
No, that's what I'm saying. But when for example, if I just understand this stuff, because we communicate in language, we assume.
Okay, go on the sidetrack.
Okay,
when you think, are you always thinking in a language? Are you hearing a voice in your head? Because thought processes, I don't believe need a monologue.
No, they don't. But one
so for me to understand something, I don't need to interpret it in a language. It's just understood.
No,
of course you have to. No, you don't need a language. I mean, do you?
Okay, maybe we can leave that for another day because you guys have gone over my head now. Yeah. But, so okay. Right, forget language and all that. Let's go back to what we were talking about.
But let's go back to.
Not gonna let it go.
No, what I want to discuss is the meanings behind dreams, because I know you said everyone. It's like everyone understands this is something that humans do to dream. Babies, I'm going to be skeptical and say they're not dreaming, but People say they do.
Yeah.
Animals, I don't think they dream. Well,
I heard animals do.
You know
They
what
do.
you're basing it on nothing.
No,
All these claims.
I'm basing
babies
that-
don't-
Is he like stripping everything?
Yeah, no, no,
I'm bare.
no.
I'm going to be a skeptical person today. No.
People don't say every night based upon nothing. Babies don't based upon nothing. Animals don't.
Can you please be consistent? Yeah, stick to your guns. here.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
That's what you said.
My consistency.
What facts to do with dreams when I said you got any facts for us today?
My consistency is the fact that it's based on nothing.
Okay.
But well, okay, everyone dreams, but everyone sees it differently. So certain people, or maybe Muslims, they'll say, oh, it has a meaning, has a purpose. Other people just say it's just your, just many factors, your food, the way you sleep, what you've been thinking about, all these other things. Some people will say, well, certain dreams have meaning, certain dreams don't. So how do you view them?
I mean, from an Islamic perspective.
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, so from an Islamic perspective, yeah, dreams potentially are something that can be interpreted. There is like an objective meaning behind certain dreams.
But the Prophet say it's an aspect of prophethood, dreams, and there is a potential truth behind them. So
I have loads of dreams. It's after you say that, I remember it. I'm going to try that.
Guy's story is narrative changing now.
So I mean, but what's always got to me is we say there's got a purpose and a meaning, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. For example, if I have a dream interpreted and someone says such and such is going to happen, does that mean now I can overturn that?
I think culturally we've put too much importance on it. Like if something happens, like I saw this, and then like we make it into a major thing that's gonna happen. We would always say at best it's wahm, like it's just some.
I'll give you a general kind of understanding. Dreams simply are either they're good news or something that's going to come, or they're warning. That's it. Dreams are not like some sort of like a cryptic message from the future which you can potentially change. They're not like that. All it is that it's like a window to the future, just showing you what is going to happen. And it's the hardest part is interpreting it, whether it has a meaning. And then all it is either it's good news or it's bad news. If it's good news, it's a kind of like an early sort of like a gift. It's an early gift that you've been given, you've been told, right, you know what, you're going to get this.
So you think all dreams are one of those? Or?
The interpretable ones, obviously.
Okay.
And there are certain dreams which have no meaning at all, which are just basically just random thoughts or feelings, or it's a mixture of truth and a mixture of. But the ones that are interpretable, those are the ones which, if you see something and they interpret it, you cannot change it. It's not like, oh, you're going to have a car accident, you know what, don't take this route. It's not like that. It's like, right, it's going to happen, but now it's just we told you it's going to happen. And now you make a decision, right? Either you prepare yourself, if it's about something bad that's going to happen, you make preparations, or you mentally kind of get yourself ready for whatever's going to happen. And if you look at the Quran, Allah mentions there's 6 dreams that are mentioned in the Quran. Yeah, 6 dreams in the Quran. And if you look at all of them, they just turn out as they were seen. There was no changing in them. There was no sort of like.
What were the 6?
So in Yusuf's story, there's 4 dreams.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the dream. The first one is the
planets.
Yeah, Yusuf alayhi salam. For those who don't know, Yusuf alayhi salam, he sees 11 stars and the sun and the moon all prostrating to him. That's all he sees. And then he goes to his father and tells his father, look, I've seen in a strange dream 11 stars and the sun and the moon prostrating to him. The father doesn't tell him the meaning. And so eventually at the end of the surah you find out that the 11 stars represented his brothers, and the mother and the father, moon the mother, father the son, and they all prostrating, meaning that they all kind of acknowledged his status. He was given a high status, and the normal kind of celestial bodies which are high, they all kind of, his family, they all acknowledge his high status. So that was, one of them. There's
a couple of questions coming up. One question. Someone asking about lucid dreams, inshallah we'll get to those. And someone saying, how can you interpret the dreams if the person relaying the dreams is a real copy?
was that? Who came?
I can't remember his name. It's from, I think, religious class.
Second is, was it Isa? Isa. Okay, yeah. So
That's useful. That sounds dream, and then the other dreams.
yeah, so that was one of the dreams. Yeah. Then the second dream scene is, or the second and third dream is the dream of the two men that were in the prison. So one of them sees that he's got like a basket of bread on top of his head, and birds are coming and eating from it. Yeah, and that works out to mean that he's gonna die. Basically, he's gonna be given capital punishment, and his body, is gonna be eaten by the birds, you can say. And then the third is where the man sees a basket, grapes. Sorry, he's crushing grapes and he's, giving it to the king, giving it to someone to drink. So he interprets that as, you're going to become free. So it's like there's no way he could have stopped the guy who was going to die. No way that he could stop his own fate. That was going to happen. And then the fourth one is where the king sees the 7, cows, thin cows, malnourished cows eating the large fat cows. And then, he works it out and says, okay, this is going to be like 7 years of good harvest, 7 years of drought, and then 1 year of... So he kind of works out. So these are the 4 dreams are in. So again, it's like, if he saw this, could he have changed these events from happening? No, it was unchangeable. You can't change those. And then those are four dreams. How much did I say? 6?
Yeah.
Okay, so the other one is Ibrahim alayhi salam when he saw in his dream. So we don't know the exact details of the dream, but all he says to his son is, in my dream, I was commanded to slaughter you. So his son, Ismail alayhi salam. So that was one. And then the last one is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam who was shown in the dream that he was entering the Masjid al-Haram in the city of Ihram. And then, he interpreted the dream as though he was going to go, but then the dream really interpreted the year later when the truce of Hudaybiyah took place. And then after that, they went in. So it was like the dream wasn't wrong, the dream was going to happen. It was just the way it was interpreted, it was 1 year early. So those are 6 dreams that are in the Quran. So, when people ask, seem to think that all Mulanas know how to interpret dreams. Have you guys got that as well?
Yeah. I've been asked. I just let them say whatever they want to say.
Yeah, it's just, people asking, guys, are you guys asking about interpretation of dreams? I don't really know how to interpret dreams, that's the honest truth. I have no course on interpreting dreams. Yes, I've done obviously tafsir of Quran.
Is it a concise science? Or?
I think it's not empirical science. There's no kind of specific usul.
Like this
rules.
means that or that means that. Don't they say culturally also? It's what something might mean in our culture might mean something completely different in others.
Yeah.
So it could mean different things.
I don't think it's something which is rooted in, you don't need to be an expert of Quran and Hadith to be able to interpret a dream. There might be other faiths, other religions, other cultures who can interpret dreams.
And I think it would differ from person to person as well, because in certain dreams, and I know when before my daughters were born, I thought I was going to have sons.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be daughters. So now someone else, I know people who've seen they're going to have sons, and they do have sons. So if you try and say, oh well, if you see whatever you see in your dreams going to be the opposite, it won't fit. So I don't see how someone can.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was actually telling someone today this. I was telling them, today we got a podcast on dreams. They asked me what do you think about dreams? So I said exactly the same thing. I said, every single person has got their own dictionary language of a dream. So every individual is different in the way their dreams are interpreted. Yeah, there are some overlap. There might be some general sort of rules which you can see commonly shared between people. Like for example, if a person sees their teacher in a dream or sees the Prophet ﷺ in a dream in a good form, it's always a good meaning. Or if you see yourself praying, if you see yourself in a happy state, it's a positive meaning. And then if you see something in a bad state, it kind of might have a negative meaning. Those are general things. But specifics, I think everyone is specific in their thoughts. And likewise, they've got dreams.
I've heard to be able to interpret at least your own dreams, what they say is just keep a note of everything you see and stuff that might happen around that time, or it might be linked to it. And once you've kept a diary, and you might start seeing a correlation. So every time I see yourself, like I get a raise. Okay, so the next time it happens, it might correlate with that. Or like you try to look for patterns. That's what they say is the best way.
Okay.
Like I've heard people say that's one way, to
So
interpret it.
So basically what you're saying is you're kind of like codifying your own.
Yeah.
Every person. Okay. Yeah. That's what you're saying.
Then my question then would be, because if people, whenever they see something, they think, okay, this is decent. What does it mean? A lot of people bust out, or at least Google Ibn Sirin's work. Would you say that's something that should be done, or is there any benefit behind it? Because obviously, like we mentioned, it's individuals, it differs, and culturally things might differ.
Yeah.
So going back to a book written 1300 years ago, even if it was he who wrote it.
If it is Ibn Sirin, which most likely, it's not.
Because what they say, he mentions, like the book mentions Imam Shafi and other people from like centuries after his demise.
Yeah, everyone's bought that book at one time. Interpretation of Dreams. You buy that thin one, and then you buy that thick one, and you're spending all day there. I saw a fly in my dream, which I fly.
Well, it's like that same, when people have...
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. It makes some money. Try a dream book. Yeah,
it's like, with when people try and diagnose themselves illnesses.
Yeah.
So they'll Google symptoms and then all sorts of illnesses.
Yeah, that's actually...
So that's what happens with dreams. They'll see something and they'll think, just look at the book, it must be this.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they don't like the meaning, like, actually, let me just pick the page.
There's actually a story in there, you probably heard this.
Oh.
There's a king and he sees, all his teeth have fallen down in his dream. So he calls a guy and he says to the guy, like one of his main kind of experts, he goes to him, what does this mean? The guy goes, all your family's gonna die. He goes, I don't like that answer, so he punishes him. So then the next guy comes. He goes, okay, I saw this dream, all my teeth fell out. What does it mean? Same answer. So there's a guy there thinking, you know what, my turn's gonna come soon. Yeah? So when his turn comes, he goes to him, what does this dream mean? He goes, it means you're gonna live the longest in your entire family. And he got happy and he goes, okay. So he gave it. I used to have a teacher, he used to say, look, when you interpret a dream, he goes, always trying to look for something positive in that dream and see how you can benefit that person. So it's basically like not really interpreting it, but what you might be calling like...
Taking a lesson from it.
No, not even taking a lesson from it, but what's that word for it, man? You're trying to give them some sort of like a moral...
console them,
or maybe some motivation. Yeah. So it's like a very good placebo effect, I would say.
So what's the scene regarding the bad dreams?
What's that with positive omens? This is thing as positive omens.
I think so.
Yeah, positive omens.
They call it good luck charms or something.
I mean, positive omens, we can kind of like, Islamically is considered permissible. Positive omens as in, you see something good happen in the morning.
Taking it as a good sign.
Taking it as a good sign, yeah. So one of my teachers, he said, this guy came to me, he goes, he saw in his house, he said, I saw a dream, and in that dream, my house was filled with brooms. In Karachi, those brooms that you have, the one that with all those... Yeah,
the witches sit on.
That's the one, yeah. It's like a whole big, bunch of these small little kind of fibered sticks and wrapped around, and then they clean the floor with it. There's one whole house full of that. So obviously, logically, you see one of those, you think about cleaning, you think about dirt. So he goes to him, he goes, do you pray salat? He goes, no. He goes, that's what it means. He goes, it means you need to clean your house of all those things distracting you from praying the salat. And he goes, that guy started practicing because of that. He goes, he gave him a cassette of Monatar Jamil. And he goes, listen to this as well. And he started practicing. So it's, obviously that might not be, you can say, the orthodox way of interpreting a dream. But it's more like, you don't want some people, that every time they see a dream, oh Sheikh, I saw a dream. And I'll get people like this that text me, oh Sheikh, I saw this dream, what does it mean? And like, okay, you missed this. Okay, you might mean this, or you might mean this. But it's like, whether you know that, whether you don't know that, it's not really going to affect your life. Get on with your life, man. But some people are really fascinated with interpretation, so...
Now, I want to ask regarding then bad dreams, because you hear a lot of people saying, no matter what, don't mention it, and things like that. Because don't we have a narration where a bad dream is something that circles above you, and the second you interpret it, it comes down. So what's the ruling, or what's the understanding regarding seeing bad
You
dreams.
know, I mean, from my own research that I've done, from my understanding, what I've seen from my teachers, a bad dream, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. There's no kind of changing that. So, a bad dream, if it's true, if it's a bad dream and it's just has nothing to do with reality, it's just some bad thoughts that are going through your mind. It could be something you've eaten, it could be some illness you're going through, it could be some other influences around you. Then that obviously has no interpretation at all, and it's best just to ignore it. Just like a person sees some traumatic thing happen on the road, you know, and then all day it's just in their mind. So it's just like one of those things. The bad dream that I think the hadith, right, or even like the statements of Sahaba and Tabi'in that you find about, you know, don't tell everyone your dream, only tell someone who is a beloved person to you or likes you, or someone who is very knowledgeable. It doesn't mean that dreams can be interpreted wrong and they're going to occur exactly how they're interpreted in the wrong way. Like, i.e., that person can, you know, change what's going to happen in the future. It doesn't mean that wouldn't make sense. So what it kind of is showing is that if you tell someone a bad dream, maybe what that person might do is give you an interpretation which might leave an imprint on you. And then you always trying to look and trying to, you like tracing paper. You're trying to apply that to every single thing. So anything happens, oh, remember I saw this dream. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. And then it just becomes like, you know, your whole life becomes like a, you know, stressful, series of events. You're always trying to bring you back to that dream. So, you know, I think you don't want to do that. So that's why the Sharia was... And you don't find Sahaba kind of... You look at the narrations, Sahaba would have seen dreams, but you don't find Sahaba seeing negative dreams and any one of them ever saying that, look, you interpreted it wrong and this is how it happened. If you interpreted it right, this is how it would have happened. So I think we've got to be a bit more kind of understanding what dreams... So basically a dream is going to happen whether you like it or not, if it's interpretable. And you just got to prepare yourself.
So, what about the other dreams then? Because some dreams everyone has experienced at some point, right? You know, well, maybe not everyone, but generally people have that same thing of you know, the falling, or you know, they're in the bathroom or something, and next thing you know, they need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But are those just general dreams that people have, or is that, you know, is that more to
Go to the bathroom. I think people go bathroom. You don't need to dream about going bathroom.
No, what I mean is like certain dreams that are common amongst people. So, you know, if you say to someone, I had this dream, like or I dreamt that I was falling. You know, a lot of people would have experienced that kind of dream.
Yeah.
So is that just
okay? I mean,
you happen to be
just again, those are most likely things which, because of what the body's going through. So stimuli or sensations that the physical body is experiencing can have an effect. Maybe the mattress you're sleeping on has got springs that are, you know, poking you, and in your dream you think in your mind maybe it's like a snake biting you, yeah, or maybe your bladder's full and you want to go toilet, and then, you know, in your dream it's like, you know, you're in extreme pain, and that's just your mind trying to understand what your body's going through. So, you know, a lot of these dreams that people have are, you know, non-interpretable dreams. Yeah, they're useless dreams, like they call them. Yeah, just a waste of time. And the Prophet ﷺ, there was some Sahaba who told him a dream, and he just said, look, this is from Shaitan. Has no real meaning, just leave it, ignore it, don't think about it. So, a lot of these, and they usually say, if you eat too late, you generally see bad dreams. Like dreams that are not really pleasant. And, you know, if you go to sleep too late.
What about like sleeping on while you're back?
Maybe that there could be so many things. That's what I'm saying. He's looking to studies that have been done on people dreaming. Someone mentioned about lucid dreaming.
Yeah, so just go back.
Yeah, and they've got like.
Have you ever had it?
I mean, yeah, I've had it. I don't know if you guys have had it.
And I think I had it, and initially I used to just, you know, when I realized I'm in a dream, let me do something, I used to wake up and I think, damn it, man, the next time I'll do something. But gradually, I got more and more control. So there was a time when I used to do it fairly often. I used to think, this is a dream. What should I do? I could fly. And I used to just fly like Superman and do whatever you want.
Get that kind of flying thing where you kind of climb steps.
No, I
didn't. And then you fly up.
No.
He kind of starts off slow in first gear and he goes faster and faster and faster. Or was it just like Superman straight?
No, Superman. But I think I had. But it's decent because I've genuinely lucid dreams I've enjoyed. But the problem was.
We won't ask you what you see in your lucid dreams.
No. But what do you call it? When I was having more and more lucid dreams, the problem was that was correlating with having more and more sleep paralysis, and I forget that I need to change something here.
Oh yeah, sleep paralysis.
Yeah, because that's not fun. Even though what like sleep paralysis, all it is, your mind's woken up, but your body is still.
Yeah. I used to get that a lot in Ramadan.
Yeah.
I don't know why. In Ramadan, you have to say to suhoor. You go to sleep and then all of a sudden you can see, but you just like your body just can't function.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not in control of your body anymore. It's just like still and you're trying to scream and shout to someone, I'm frozen.
So have you actually seen the hack syndrome they call it? When you can, even when you're paralyzed, you're there, but you can see an actual figure there standing beside you. Have you ever had that?
I remember when I was young, I actually used to sometimes see, I used to kind of see as I used to wake up at night and I could just see someone just standing at the end of my bed.
Yeah.
Just like looking at me. And then I used to kind of think maybe it's like I might have watched a horror film a few days ago and memories of that and just getting confused. But it was like very vivid, I would see. Maybe even someone sitting on my bed. And this was like when I was in college days. And then I kind of interpreted it as, I'm not praying, I'm not practicing in them days. I'm not praying, I'm not practicing, and you know what? Maybe I need to start practicing. And actually, when I started practicing, they start finishing. So I don't know, maybe it was something, a kind of warning sign to me that, sort yourself out. And a lot of people do experience. I remember one guy, I went to this one mosque and there was a guy there and we met him and he said to us, because I accepted Islam. The reason I accepted Islam is in my dream, there's this mosque that's being built in the area. Because in my dream, I went in this mosque. It's a real mosque, but in my dream, I went in that mosque. And on that mosque, there was written down, a big, on the wall, there was like a image or a painting. And I couldn't understand it. It was like squiggly lines. I woke up, and it was a few weeks or months later, because I went past this mosque, and it was that same sign, I saw it there. As in, he didn't see it before, he wasn't there before. And he goes, it was the kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. He saw that in his dream. And he goes, it was so strange that I didn't know what it meant. I could just see in my dream as vivid. And he goes, then when they told me what it meant, then I started researching and then I accepted Islam. So, dreams, we don't know the true technicalities of dreams, how exactly dreams work, but there does seem to be some sort of a reality to dreams. How much of your dream is reality, and how much of a percentage of it is true, and how much percent of it is mixed with,
Has anyone ever claimed, I don't know, just guessing here, that it's linked to Amrul Misal, and that is something going on there, or is that not?
Yeah, some scholars do. They say the soul kind of, it leaves the body, and it kind of connects with a different realm. And that's why what you're experiencing is what the soul is experiencing in this other realm. So it might be like a Wi-Fi kind of access point to another world, you could say. A world that is it's not the world of basically physical laws. It's a world of science.
Or what if that's the real world? And this
what if that's the real world? And what if this is a dream? And the interesting thing is with virtual reality now, dreams are starting to make more sense now. As we're starting to realize that dreams is, I don't know, maybe the scientists, got this idea of virtual reality from dreams. That look, you can, in your mind, you can actually go into a different world and you can live there for apparently years, thinking that this is your real life. And how many times has that happened? You're in your dream and you're thinking this and you're going through so much amazing experiences, or opposite. And then you wake up and you think, thank God this was a dream. Yeah, sweating, you know what, thank God this is a dream. It seems so real that, and let's say you pinch yourself. It's like one of those ones.
I remember the funniest happened once when I was younger. My mum sent me up So wake your brother up. So we'll go walking around. He's like, why'd you wake me up for? I was in the best sleep. Go, 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 go. And then you know what he did? He turned over. He tried to go back to sleep. It was the worst. I saw something else. Because he told me he had a build up. He had the best thing going on. Like they were on a mission. And there was something awesome meant to be in a certain place. Okay. And for ages they were crawling. They were going over stuff trying to get there. And he goes, they were just about to crest the hill and actually see what the whole journey was for. And that's when I woke him up. And he even now, like over 20 years later, he still goes, why did you wake me up that day?
Well, that's the closest I've had to lucid dreams. So I'll wake up and then I'll pretend to go back. I'll try and go back to sleep and I might go back to the dreams. Very rarely.
Okay, well, what do you understand? No, we all talking about the same thing when we say lucid dream.
Okay.
Lucid dream is when you have control over it.
Yeah, lucid dream.
Yes.
Yes, I've never experienced that. But it's just like sometimes I close my eyes and pretend like
But that's just you thinking.
I'm in the dream and then finish the rest of the dream off. But
okay, let's move on to something else. What do you guys do if you see a dream? Like what do you do?
What do you mean?
Do you go to try and find out the meaning of the dream? Do you kind of just ignore it?
no, with me, as I said, I very rarely see dreams. But if I see a dream and
The way you say you rarely ever see a dream is like it's very rare. Very rare.
but
the ones you can mention.
yeah, but if I do see a dream that I think it can be interpreted, or it can it might be a bit scary or something, I just give sadaqah and that's it. That's my routine.
Okay.
If it's good, then
Yeah, I mean that is something that scholars advise that if you see a bad dream, give charity, give sadaqah. Because through sadaqah, whatever's going to happen, it's just going to lessen the.
But you said you can't change it.
Yeah, you can't change it, but you can lessen the impact, through sadaqah and good deeds. You can, ease the problems that are.
yeah, don't get started with takdeer and some other.
Next, we do that for another podcast.
What do you do then?
It's too late.
Apart from tell your brother to go away, or your brother to tell you to go.
No, I see it. If it's something decent, I ponder over it. And like, if it's really worth it, I'll tell like the boys or someone. But that's about it. I have no protocol on it.
Have you ever had a dream which?
Okay, guys, what do you guys do when you guys see a dream? Yeah, put in the comments.
You're that host.
Tell us in the comments. Yeah.
There's a mention here, medical condition called locked-in syndrome.
What's it? Say the name. So says it.
Loading.
Oh, that's tahmeed.
Okay. Called locked-in syndrome, in which an individual cannot move but is fully conscious. It's a scary thing to imagine.
I've actually found a word for that in Arabic. It's called kaboos. They call it kaboos. Kaboos is used for a nightmare as well. The kaboos. And they actually used to believe that there's someone that's sitting on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's someone that's seeing like all the limbs.
Once-
In Pakistan, it's a kind of like.
No,
I haven't really found anything in the books of hadith or I don't know. I haven't really
No,
investigated
what happened
much.
to me once when I was about 17, so I was in first or second year college, and I saw in a dream, I was just in the back of the car with with mates, and I don't know, something happened, mate gave me a turn, and then suddenly he started ramming his hand into my stomach, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And I woke up with the pain there, and suddenly the pain was lower. What the hell? So I look up, and I see this like silhouette of me. This is after Fajr, and I'm right at the end, so room should be bright. It's pitch black, and the clock. Due to that light, I can see a silhouette there. I look up, and I felt, or at least what I perceived was I was pushed down, and suddenly I'm trapped there, and there's a silhouette there. And I'm thinking, I just recite everything that you can.
Yeah.
And I recite in the room.
That is something I've seen a lot.
And the room went brighter, and actually I'm a kid then, I'm thinking, wow, what is that? And I just lay there, just reciting everything I knew until I was just completely knackered and I fell asleep again.
That is something, I mean, the number of times I've read Ayatul Kursi in my dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I've seen a jinn or something, or felt something squeeze me in my dream. Now, I don't know the reality of it, what is it really a jinn? Is it maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just like strange because how real it is, and then when you read Ayatul Kursi, it's like the experience I get is I hear a whistling sound in my ears, a very high pitched whistling sound, and like I can see things around me. Maybe I can't see things around me, but I can sense that there's something else, some sort of another sort of like entity there. I don't know, maybe my mind's kind of making that up, but it seems very real to me.
I've got a remedy for that. My brother used to experience that quite a bit. So he'd wake up and you feel that something's on him or he see something. So my grandma gave him Ayatul Kursi and to put under his pillow or inside the pillowcase. That stopped it from thing.
Yeah.
And funny thing is, when he moved houses, it started happening again, and he realized the Ayatul Kursi was no longer in the pillow because I think it got swapped or something. So that does.
So you just write out the Kursi on there and you have it in there or print it out?
Yeah, print it. She had like one of those laminate.
Okay.
Small thing.
You know, I heard someone was telling me, since medically they say it's a lack of some sort of vitamin. If you're lacking a certain type of vitamin or mineral, I don't know, it can cause that. It can cause paralysis, sleep paralysis.
See, I think that the thing
that
is
has Tahmid replied.
No, Tahmid Bizk has Bizq or something.
Yeah, Bizq one.
I've been every day and have a few familiar places I've been which aren't real, but I don't think anything of them. Just ignore it.
Yeah, I mean it could mean something. Going places.
But
going places, that's it. You're going places, yeah.
But see the thing with dreams is sometimes we gotta be careful because we can always put the science thing on it. Okay, science will explain lack of minerals or lack of sleep, diet, etc. But sometimes it can actually, like we discussed, it can have a meaning. So I think you just got to be careful to get the balance right. In that, not everything is as a result of, it has to mean something. But at the same time, not everything is explained away by science. But it's an interesting thing too.
Yeah, and there was actually a hadith comes in Bukhari as well, where a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he told him a dream he saw, and the dream was like a very long dream. He saw a robe coming down from the sky, and then he saw like honey dripping and these different things. So Abu Bakr was there, and Abu Bakr said to the Prophet ﷺ, allow me to interpret it. So it was like the Prophet ﷺ, after Fajr on a regular basis, he would ask people, has anyone seen a dream? They'd like interpret it. So he'd interpret it for them. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he's got this training from the Prophet ﷺ, and now he wants to kind of apply it now. He's got the opportunity. So then he started explaining, he goes, this robe, means like the Quran, and this means this, and this means that, and the Prophet ﷺ said, you got part of it right, you got part of it wrong. So we were saying early on about the issue of dreams, you shouldn't say it wrong, otherwise it's going to work out in that way. So that kind of, the Prophet ﷺ, you just got it wrong. So it's not really going to have, it didn't mention it's going to have a bad effect or anything. But yeah, I mean, some dreams could be in that sense. So it's not like every person that sees a dream. Maybe some people are very sort of like, impressionable with dreams. Yeah, the dreams are very potent dreams, as in it has a long-lasting effect on their memories. They remember it a lot. Some people don't. Some people see amazing things in their dreams. Some people see scholars in their dream. Yeah, I remember one of my teachers. He actually saw, because in my dream I saw all the ulama, Malik, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, and he goes, the scholars, I was go to them, he said, kiss me on my forehead. He goes, kiss me on my forehead, kiss me on my forehead. So that's like a very kind of positive dream, like something everyone would kind of endeavor to see in their dream. You make dua before you go to sleep, and you see something like this. So he see dreams like that. Some people see the Prophet ﷺ in their dreams, and there's many narrations about seeing the Prophet ﷺ and its implications as well. So these are kind of good things to see, and how a person should try and endeavor to see good things in their dreams.
He's saying he's never seen a good dream. No, he's never seen a dream which he thought relevant.
He never seen
But inshallah one day he'll see a dream where he's a millionaire.
Who's saying this? Loading Tahmid, yeah? Loading. And you were worried about your exams, yeah, and then worried about your dreams.
There's another question. Although sleeping person is not responsible for what they do when sleeping, do you think there would be reward attached for reading Quran or doing dhikr in dreams?
Yeah, actually, I've seen people that in their dream, once asleep, read Quran.
You can't be rewarded for something you didn't choose to do, can you?
As in, okay, are they asking in your dream if you read Quran, or are they asking in reality? I've actually seen someone asleep and they're like reading, their lips are moving, reading Quran or doing zikr.
No, they're asking if they recite Quran in the dream, would they get reward for it?
Oh, in the dream.
I do think that's a good sign, but not something you get reward for.
Yes.
Because you need to have actually intent behind an action, don't you?
And it has to be. It has to be an action. It has to be an action, isn't it? I mean, intention obviously is rewarding itself.
Yeah.
Intention itself is rewarding, which is in the mind. So I don't know. Maybe. Because are you conscious in your dream? Are you like mukallaf?
No, because then you have to ask the reverse then. Because if you try to claim reward for not being in control but seeing something in your dream, are you going to claim accept the sin as well for it?
Yeah, that's true. Some people like.
Because you got to be a bit. You take both ways.
Yeah, so it's a very kind of strange world, dreams are. Lots of strange things. I mean, it would be. Imagine this. I always think to myself. Imagine in your dream, you could study as well. So like 8 hours, 7 hours you spend sleeping. Instead of that, you just like kind of, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep here, and I'm just gonna study this book. I'm gonna go study from this person.
You go like Freddy Krueger and give privates to the students. Go down.
And there has been like mentioned by scholars in the past that they did have experiences where they would study things from people, from the Prophet ﷺ or from Sahaba or from other people. They study things in their room, get ijazas.
And when we were studying, you used to like, what you wait for, you like are hoping to wake up one day and know Arabic.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
It sounds like
And I thought, I didn't think of it before then, but after that I was like, yeah, that sounds like a plan.
We're still in hope.
You know, actually, in fact, have you seen some of these language learning programs?
Like Rosetta.
Yeah, you got to put these kind of earphones in your ear and you listen to the language that they say in your mind. It just memorizes it. Because yeah, that's another thing, isn't it? Is some of them say that the function of dreams is to actually organize all the information. So you're seeing all these events take place, but in reality, that is a computer that's organizing all the information and putting it into its.
So that's why he sees nothing, because it's just empty up there.
I organize my stuff during the day, that's why. you have to organize your flying routines or whatever you do.
Straight away, no, you're not even going first gear. Which obviously goes against physics, yeah, you know that, don't you?
So it's just love energy behind that. You're right with the flying, but just not going fast quickly.
Okay, we'll accept that.
There's laws to flying as well, so you have to follow. But there's someone which was likely to come up. I had a dream where I was friends with a jinn, and then another male jinn wanted to marry me, and I had to become a jinn. But that's probably because marriage is something I think about a lot anyway.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah. That might be. You know, I actually had a friend, yeah. The guy had this problem. Another problem was every time he used to go to sleep, he used to have like wet dream, like proper wet dream. And what used to happen was in his dream, he used to have like a jinn who used to kind of come to him in his dream. He used to see, and would, from that too. He used to have it every time he slept, literally. Eventually the guy lost, he lost, half of his weight. And he ended up kind of like breaking down, nervous breakdown, and crying, and I don't know what to do. Every time I go to sleep, I see this. So, is it a medical condition? Medical condition? Might be something thinking about a lot, like this person was asking about might be thinking about, getting married, and so they just keep seeing it. Person might have a high, sexual drive. Maybe that's responsible partly for it as well. So it's like, not everything you see in your dream is something which has a meaning. Yeah, I think most of it would not have a meaning. And then there's times of the day as well when certain dreams are more potent than others. Like in the hadith it's mentioned that, the time, early morning, dawn time, that's when dreams are more potent. Maybe your mind's clear, stomach's empty. So it's just like your mind is kind of seeing this. So, I don't know.
Scholars mention prophet dreams are always true. Dreams of very good people are usually true, and for everyone else it is hit and miss. So we might not be rewarded for what we see in dreams, but maybe the dream itself is the reward for Allah. That's regarding what we said.
Who's saying that?
S41033.
S41033. Oh,
Shaykh Alam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I thought it was not good to tell dreams to people because due to that it will become true. I think we discussed that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, telling dreams and, I mean, sometimes some people see a dream and that's a motivational dream. They see something really kind of good. They saw the Prophet ﷺ in their dream, or they saw the Quran in their dream, or saw something.
I mean, you mentioned seeing a figure at the end of your bed, which made you, you know, practice a bit more. But has there been any other dream which kind of made you motivated you to do something, maybe studying or maybe?
You know, actually, my mum, yeah, listen to this. I was telling my mum that I want to go and study in. I was in college. I said I want to go study Islam. I want to learn about Quran and stuff. So she saw a dream. She saw the moon in a dream, full moon outside her house, and there was a long rope from that moon, and it was stretching all the way down, and she was holding it. So she didn't tell me this. Then one day, like years later, she told me. She goes, you know, before you studying, I saw a big moon, and I saw this rope that was hanging, and the moon was very bright, and I saw this rope hanging, and it was on the ground, and I was holding onto that. And he goes, she said to me, I think it meant that you were going to go and study. That's what it meant. So, you know, I said, if you had told me that dream before, it would have motivated me more.
That doesn't mean you'll be better, you know.
That's it. You guys can go on. Is it the touch? Is it, how is it?
I don't know whichever method you use.
Yeah, so that's what my mom sees loads of dreams. So, and a lot of her dreams, they seem to kind of work out as she saw them. Like very kind of categorical dreams she sees. And they kind of, you know.
Yeah, I think certainly like my grandma in my family, she sees loads of dreams, and a lot of the things sometimes it might be even years, and she'll actually, you know, I saw such and such dream, and this is how it fits in. So that'd be interesting actually, to actually do a survey of whether women or men have more dreams. I would think women probably have more dreams than they probably talk about it more. Nice. Yeah, well,
yeah, I mean that could be. Maybe dreams are more obviously more emotional things, and women are more connected with the emotions than men are. Men are more like kind of rational, kind of, right? You know what? This dream's fuzul. Waste of time. Ignore it.
But everyone's equal, just for the record.
I'm not saying it's not academic.
Just put a disclaimer there, but I mean, I think the jinn thing is something we can probably touch upon next time. On another
that might be a good podcast. I mean, to let viewers, guys, if you guys are watching and you guys want to see some interesting podcasts, put in the comments what kind of
podcasts. I had a motivated crew where it was Judgment Day, and the whole earth was floating in space, and I was outside. It was questioning time, and all the time I was thinking about what I have bought. So, but the reason I mention that is because I think almost every month there's a scholar somewhere in some countries says, they're just must soon do tawbah. But see, I think those are just more the motivating thing, but they've taken too far, and they just, you know, forwarding these texts.
Yeah, it could be something which a person naturally inside the moral compass is telling them, you know, what you're doing is wrong, and they see that. You know, interesting. When I was in Umrah, we went to Masjid Nabawi, and you know, under Masjid Nabawi there's actually a big complex there. If you don't know, so the Saudi government has built like a big kind of basement underneath the lifts that go down. So they took us down to this museum area, and we saw this kind of artifacts and things. And then the guy was telling us about the history of the tomb, and you know, a lot of people claim that this is what the Prophet's grave looks like, and they usually have, like, you know, one of those Turkish mausoleums with a green turban and, you know, writing on the wall and all that. So that's not really true, because historically the last person to actually see what's inside of the room where the Prophet is buried was like about 600-700 years ago. That was the last person who saw. That was because there was an earthquake, and there's a whole hole that was made, and then they had to fill it up. But then this historian actually saw, and all I saw was just there was lots of dust in the room, and it was just like some mound. That's it. That's what it was. And I think it was the time of Salahuddin Ayyubi, or was it Nuruddin Zinki, I can't remember exactly. That he saw a dream, and there was like the Prophet ﷺ was saying that there's, you know, someone attacking me, attacking my grave or something. So he kept seeing this dream, and then he went and he sent someone, you know, to Medina to find out. And they found actually underneath there was these two men who were non-Muslims who came to live in Medina as Muslims, and they were like digging from their home underground to get into the grave of the Prophet ﷺ to take his body. So luckily they found it. And I don't know how true this story is. I've read in a few places as well. So they actually took lead, and they put lead or metal and they kind of reinforced it right in the ground so nobody could get access to from underneath. So these kind of dreams that people see, these are like interesting things to look at, how a dream has like motive. Look, if you look in the Quran, the dream of Yusuf alayhi salam is a very interesting thing. How the whole of the story starts off with a dream. So it kind of inspires Yusuf alayhi salam. Or imagine all his life he's thinking about that dream, but then he puts it back in his mind. But then realizes Allah is making everything happen in his life. All those little things, even throwing in the well, and then going to prison, and then being seduced, and then, interpreting the dream for the king. This was all part of that dream interpretation.
See, I mean, that's an interesting thing, because people always think, I've had this dream, and now, today, tomorrow, a week down the line, this is going to come true. And like you said, they might be thinking, oh, maybe this is a dream. But Yusuf alayhi salam, many years after that, his dream actually came to fruition in the way that it was in the dream. So it's not necessarily that it has to occur immediately.
Yeah. And the other one is exactly, and the other one is the Prophet ﷺ's dream that he sees. If you look at that dream, it's like you're in a situation where you haven't been to your hometown, Makkah, for so many years, and you're thinking to yourself, these people are not going to let me go back. But then you see this dream that all the Muslims are going and they're all in the ihram and they're going towards Makkah, and you get a big boost of morale. And then, so it's like Allah is showing him, this is what's going to happen. So again, it's like a boost for the Prophet ﷺ, boost for the Muslims that this will happen, it's just a matter of time. So they're trying to go there. So that's another inspiration as well. And then it's like, the dream of the king as well, when the king sees the dream. It's like, how does Yusuf alayhi salam utilize his position as an interpreter of dreams to kind of make best use of that situation? So it's like, he could have just said, I'm not going to interpret the dream for you. You got to lock me up without any reason. So he kind of, not only does he interpret the dream, he also gives him a plan of how to deal with the situation. So, you go to someone, you tell them your dream. Mostly what they'll just tell you is, right, this is what's going to happen. But then, what's the plan? Like, what should you do in that time? So Yusuf alayhi salam gives the plan. Okay, first do this, then the next 7 years do this, and then he mentions, at the end, the tabshir. So it's like ta'bir, wa tadbir, wa tabshir. It's 3 things that he does. So that shows that signs of how intellectual, how he was Yusuf alayhi salam. So,
I think.
Is there any other questions, comments?
One thing. What about regarding people who might flower up or lie about dreaming?
Yeah,
is that considered?
That is. I mean, the Prophet has mentioned that dreams are considered to be a portion of 46 portions of Nubuwah, and some of the narrations are less than 46, and some of them more. The wording is a bit different. But those who've taken 46 have said it's like 46 because the Prophet was in life.
6 months out of 23.
Yeah. It's like it's broken at 6 months.
Yeah.
So the first 6 months of his prophethood was seeing vivid dreams, very powerful vivid dreams he saw, and then they were like the introduction, the opening of his prophethood. So dreams are the thing that have continued from prophecy. So the Prophet has mentioned things like, someone who makes dreams up and lies is going to be made to tie between two grains of wheat. Yeah. So it's like, it's a wrong thing to do, because people might have a lot of respect for you, and if you tell them you saw this dream, they might think, or you're trying to deceive them into thinking, you're going to become someone very good, and you're going to become someone who is respectable and acceptable in the community, and then it's a whole lie. Maybe that's one of the reasons. Yeah. Or it could even be because the dream is related
I think it's
to Allah.
Straight up abuse of trust, isn't it? Because there's no way anyone would ever verify anything like that. It's just completely your word, and people are abusing it. I think I've always thought that, aside from all those other things, it's just a complete abuse of trust. Because if I claim something I've seen in a dream, there's no ever recourse, no way to ever know.
No REM scanning.
Unless we hook you up to those. So see, he does agree with what I said earlier.
What about people who claim they've seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
In fact, there's actually an interesting thing about that. It was, I think it was Imam Razi, and he saw, when he was passing away, he saw in his dream or something, he saw Allah, and Allah was there, and he was saying to him, I'm Allah, Allah accepted everything you've done. He was, no, you're a liar, you're not Allah. So some people, like for example, they see Allah in the dream, but that can be a deception. But the hadith mentions that the Prophet ﷺ said, if you see me in your dream, then that is me, because shaitan can't take my form. But it doesn't mention about Allah. So it's like, because there is this idea that people have belief in other gods besides Allah, false gods. There is this possibility of people seeing, something they believe it to be Allah or God, but that having no reality to it, actually being false. Some whispers of shaitan. But the Prophet ﷺ, that can't happen with him. We believe that it can never happen with him. Yeah, so I think Imam Ahmad, they say about Imam Ahmad, he saw Allah in his dream many times. But again, what does that mean, seeing Allah in your dream? Does it mean like, it's not really seeing Allah, because then it brings Aqidah into the question. I think it's more to do with like Allah's deen or some good signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I think
any closing comments?
That means once had a dream that he woke up in the grave, so he was frightened of that, and as a result he increased in his ibadah, so it's of benefit.
Warnings.
And the sister Shaista Alam saying she's interpreting your dream, so I don't know if I should. When Ustad mentioned about his mom's dream, your mom's dream, maybe it links to the fact that because he's an Islamic teacher, the knowledge that he gives out to the students is of great benefit, and hence he's like the moon on a night sky that gives light to the whole sky.
Wow. I accept that. Jobs are yours. Yeah, guess my stamp.
I think on that note,
until the eclipse happens, you go A1 for a couple of days.
Well, actually, it's interesting because a moon might not always come out. It's like at certain times it's going to be benefiting people, and at certain times not really benefiting people.
like on Wednesday.
But it's always there. It's always in orbits.
Yeah.
It's just like when it's benefiting.
Like Wednesdays 9:30.
Yeah,
That's when the
Wednesdays.
moon comes out.
You see, but the moon, it's not luminous, and you're just reflecting my awesomeness to the people.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, guys, for watching. So if you guys have any comments, if you
Okay.
guys want us to do any
Just
topics.
the sister said it's mentioned in hadith. She didn't make it up.
Okay, because in hadith, if you quote the hadith, yeah, maybe when you quote the hadith about the moon, maybe it is. Have a focus.
Inshallah. Until the next one.
Till next time, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khair, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Okay, some people have some questions here. Let's see. Topic idea.
We'll do that.
Okay, world tech.